everybody, welcome. Welcome to Tuesday night. I'm live with Lindsey Richter. Yeah. She
Yeah.
is the founder and director of inspiration for Ladies AllRide. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I'm really excited that she's here. Whenever I first was looking at anything women's mountain biking, I saw Ladies AllRide and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to her. She
Oh,
knows all. And so I'm super pumped and excited to have her on here. It's like one of those starstruck moments of like somebody that's doing what I wanted to get into doing is here talking to me. So it makes me
awesome.
super, super happy. Um,
Yay.
so Lindsey, I want you to start off by just telling us a little bit about how you personally got into mountain biking and why it's become such a big thing for you.
Yeah, I got into it because of my dad. I was a horse girl. I rode horses and I would guide horseback rides at this ranch near our house in Oregon. And my dad would come out and check on me on his mountain bike. And I'd be like, Dad, these are horse trails. Nobody rides bikes on the horse trails. And he's like, you'll see one day you'll ride a bike. It's super fun. And I went to college. He bought me a mountain bike to take to college as transportation. And after college, I didn't really use it for mountain biking. I was in Tucson, Arizona, and it was too hot. Um, but after college, I moved back to Oregon and I got a job immediately in advertising and PR and went deep into the working world and I lost my fitness in college, first of all, in a big way. And then being in the working world, I completely lost my fitness. And this is in the late 90s, mid 90s, when, step aerobics was a thing, but I was an athlete in high school. That's how I defined myself. I played every sport. I played with the boys. I was super competitive. And I didn't do that in college. So when I lost my fitness and then went right into the working world, this is like early 20s, I really found that I lost myself. Not having a sport and not being comfortable in my body, the weight it was at, I couldn't fit into a size 12 jeans. It was pretty harsh and I didn't know how to get it back. So my dad kind of nudged me along and said, well, you've been going to these spin classes at lunch. Why don't you just go race your mountain bike? And I was like, that's brilliant. I'm going to race my mountain bike. And I just started entering races around Oregon. I didn't know anybody. I bought a hardtail, Trek hardtail race bike and just threw myself into races. And through that alone, I started to see myself coming back to life. I started getting my fitness back without a lot of effort. It was just fun. And then I became determined to be fit for the races on the weekends. That kind of gave me a goal, something to work towards. So I wasn't last, and over time, I realized that mountain biking is so much more than just getting your fitness back. I started meeting other rad women who mountain biked. And again, this is in the late 90s. And I would come to work on a Monday covered in bruises and limping and bragging about my race, and nobody really understood it. And I really didn't feel like I fit in a lot of places. I didn't fit in college. I was in a sorority without a sport and kind of floundered through that. And then the advertising world was a little cutthroat and competitive. And I would go to these mountain bike races on the weekend and just kind of look around and be like, these are my people. I didn't know much about finding your tribe at that time either. I just knew something was missing from my life. And I got to say, mountain biking brought that spark back for sure.
That's so awesome. I think there's a lot of us that can relate to not fitting in certain realms. I was super nervous whenever I was starting to get into more ladies things. I know that sounds crazy, but I fit in with the dudes so much better.
Me
Just
too.
because they would go out and do stuff and they were a little bit more rough and tumble. I had an older brother and I whitewater kayaked so much as a kid. And those are mostly guys that do that. And
Totally.
then I played soccer. That was my only like girl time. And then besides like the rough and tumble soccer girls, I was like, I don't know if I can fit in. Like I was super nervous when I went to PT school.
Yeah.
There's mostly women in there. And I was like, they're not gonna like me.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh,
Yep.
I totally feel you on that. I think there's a lot of us ladies that are in this group specifically that we reach out to find more people that are like us. So we have friends. We have
Totally.
rad girls around us.
Yeah. And what you're doing is so awesome because people can connect from all over the world in one space. And I didn't have social media when I started mountain biking, I didn't have that. So I had to go places to find people who rode. And like you said, it was 90% dudes, even at the races. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Made me so nervous around girls. I was like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna like.
And that's a big part of our camps is learning about the mental and emotional aspect of mountain biking. It's a big, big reason I do what I do because I was always scared of girls too. And then I realized later in life, maybe they're scared of me. Like we always go inward, like they don't like me. I'm doing something wrong. I'm the different one. I'm really loud and I have a really low voice. And I've always been really insecure about it. I see people kind of go, oh God, she's loud. And so that's always on my mind when I'm talking to people. And for my whole life, I've just always kind of had that, that dialogue we get in our head that starts chattering at us about, you're not as good as these people. You're not going to fit in here. And I'm done with that. And Ladies AllRide is a space I created to make sure women know that they fit in, no matter what walk of life, what body type, what fitness level, what skill level, how long you've been riding. None of it matters. We're just women who want to play on bikes and celebrate it with other women. And we make that very clear at our camp so nobody feels like they don't belong.
I freaking love it. I think that's one of the reasons why I've gravitated towards you. It's because of that inclusive nature, like that you're bringing everybody in. Like, all right, let's all get them in for a hug. Come on.
Yep, and we do that. We make you hug everyone. Well, I've never been a real touchy-feely girl. I was definitely one of the dudes my whole life. And I've worried with our camps that there's more women out there like me who are like, I don't do the girl thing because I don't want to be judged and I don't want that catty BS to happen to me. And it just doesn't exist in our environment. Like we don't let it and we address it verbally. There's no room for sizing each other up or comparing yourself to the woman next to you or checking out her bike or her sweet outfit. It's the first thing I say at my camps is don't be looking around comparing yourselves because we don't do that here. We're all equal.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
We have a lot of ladies on here live right now. We have 18 ladies on here live, which is spectacular.
Awesome.
They're all stoked to be here. They're all saying hi.
Hi.
They were stoked you had such a supportive father to push you out there to doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
He's the best.
Moving a little bit forward, what prompted you, and we talked about it a little bit, I think, already, what prompted you to actually start the Ladies AllRide? Like, what made you, like, take that leap and say, I'm ready for it, I'm gonna make it happen? Because I think there's a lot of us in here that have leaps that we should take in life, in our personal lives, that we don't actually get, that we don't make that push. What made you make that push, that leap? What kicked you in the pants enough?
Well, I will try to make the long story as short as possible. Well, I got laid off from advertising in 2001 and ended up on a TV show called Survivor. And this is when Survivor was pretty new. I was on the 3rd season of Survivor in Africa. And I got on it because my audition tape was me riding my mountain bike in body paint, being a fool. And I ended up on this TV show. And that next year of my life was a whirlwind of celebrity appearances and getting paid to sign autographs and getting all this global attention. And again, there's no social media yet because this was 2001. Thank goodness, it would have killed me. But there were chat rooms. The internet was kind of fresh, 2001. And there were talk shows and people ripped on me. I got ridiculed and made fun of my voice, my presence, my body. I wasn't super fit at the time. I felt the backlash of being on national TV and it put me into a real spiral of depression. I've already kind of suffered with depression a lot of my life. I think a lot of my need to feel like I'm doing everything perfectly has really affected me, especially with sports and then losing sports. My mind has played a lot of tricks on me throughout my life. And this Survivor stint really put me at an all-time low. I moved to Los Angeles to go to auditions and I don't even know what I was doing. They just said, go to Los Angeles. You're making all this money from this TV show. Do it. So I just threw myself in. And the one thing that kept me sane when I was getting rejected every 5 minutes was riding my mountain bike. And I had no one to ride with, but a guy from my TV show introduced me to a friend of his who worked for Bell Helmets. And he said, you should come to the Sea Otter Classic. It's 6 hours from you in LA. Just drive to it. Just come, get out of there. And I went to the Sea Otter Classic and raced my bike and saw like this whole world of what is the mountain bike industry. I didn't know that existed, all the team tents. And I just felt this energy around bikes that I'd never felt before. So a couple weeks later, I went to another race and I met a downhill racer who I didn't even know downhill racing was part of the sport. I just thought cross country was mountain biking. Downhill racer, and ended up traveling the country with him for the rest of the summer, and then got married to him at the end of the year. We were together about a year and we got married. So then I spent the next decade of my life. He came up with the word AllRide because he didn't want to be branded as a racer. He grew up in a bad environment and really wanted to show people that it doesn't matter what your background is, you can choose to be whoever you want to be. And he used bikes as his platform. So for 10 years, we traveled the bike industry we had the Fox AllRide Tour, the Santa Cruz AllRide Tour, the Specialized AllRide Tour. We had the AllRide Academy Kids team. We had the AllRide Modern Youth Freeride team. Like, it was crazy. For 10 years, we went back and forth across the country, promoting mountain biking, racing, supporting kids teams, and really just trying to do whatever we could to be ambassadors for the sport. And this was in like 2003, 4, 5, when there was no such thing as ambassadors. So I was learning through him kind of the ins and outs of sponsorship and what companies look for when they sponsor someone, because I started managing his career and trying to help with my advertising background. I tried to help rebrand him away from racing and into being more of a role model as someone who had a voice in this sport. Yeah. And through these 10 years, everywhere we went, I would be sitting there going, are there any women out there who want to ride with me and who aren't gnarly pros that I'm scared of and intimidated by, because everyone is way better than me on a bike and I don't feel like I fit in with all these pros. So at all these events, I would just look around for the women who just wanted to ride, and nobody was giving me any pointers. They were very encouraging. I would go ride with these professionals, but they would say things like, you got this, your bike knows what to do. I'm like, what? My bike didn't do what your bike just did at all, because I'm on the ground and you're not.
Feels it. I feel
right? So I just had all these experiences with these amazing bike riders, and really nobody was telling me anything about how to ride. So fast forward to 2010, and I went to Whistler and took a PMBI, Professional Mountain Bike Instructor Certification course I didn't know anything about, and was like, what? Nobody tells you this stuff. I promise you, I've been around some of the best riders in the world for the last decade, and no one's told me this stuff. So the wheels started spinning. And 2011, I started talking to some of his sponsors about doing something in the women's movement, maybe getting me doing something with AllRide that had to do with women. Nobody would bite. No sponsors they would give me bikes and give me product and treat me like an ambassador alongside him. But I wanted something for women. I didn't want to be glued to someone, and I didn't want my marriage to a pro to be the deciding factor of whether or not I get sponsored. So it was an interesting road. Then finally 2015 came along. Well, I started running camps in Colorado with a woman named Sarah Raleigh out of Keystone, she now runs the Vita mountain bike series. We started Betty AllRide together. So she actually called me up. So Rebecca Rush, who's a good friend of mine and a hero of many people's, invited me to do the SRAM Gold Rush tour with her when she met me through the AllRide tour. She gave me the confidence to believe in myself because she saw something in me. Then I met Sarah at the Betty Bike Bash in Colorado. Sarah said, "Hey, do you want to run women's clinics with me?" I said, "Sure. I'm not sure what I'm doing with AllRide, but I need to do something." So we started Betty AllRide. 2 years into that, Liv called me, and Sarah had already been working with Yeti, so she kind of had to go her way with Yeti. And I jumped in feet first with Liv and said, "I'm ready for this. Let's do Ladies AllRide mountain bike skills camps." And all of a sudden, all these sponsors started perking up and coming on board. And I didn't have to win a championship. And I actually ended up getting divorced through this time period. In about 2016, I got divorced, and it was really, really hard. And the ladies I've met through mountain biking kept me grounded and lifted me up. And having a mission to inspire women through this sport is really what has kept me going through all these hard times. That's it in a nutshell. I definitely have had a path, and I'm very fortunate to have been married to such a wonderful mountain bike ambassador. My ex-husband is awesome. I worship him. I think he's the coolest guy ever. We're still friends. We share our dogs. It's great. But I'm also really proud that Ladies AllRide has legs of its own and we're doing what we're doing, empowering women, hiring women to work for us. Like, all of it is blowing my mind, and it's still kind of shocking to me that it's even as big as it is. I'm really proud of it.
That's awesome, girl. It sounds like you definitely have turned around a lot of things that have come into play. Some of the hard hits that we try to be perfect on, that we basically self-criticize ourselves, and then you look around, and especially within being in the limelight, ooh, I can't even imagine like having the self-critics that come along with that, and then trying to make and build something that's not even a thought process, not even an existence within that. Like that's really conquering some of those hills, some of those challenges. So if any of the ladies are listening to this, think about that. Think about some of the challenges that you have in your life, and use this as motivation. Use this as power. Use it as like lighting a fire underneath your butt. Like let's move some people forward. Okay.
Totally.
Because we all have our stories.
Yeah. And I saw a need for a series of events that invited women into this sport in a really welcoming way, where they knew that it didn't matter what level they were coming in at, they knew they were coming to learn something. Because I found that the race events, while it was awesome for me because I'm already competitive, over time it wasn't as awesome anymore. I just wanted the camaraderie that I was finding in the sport. And that is really what blossomed Ladies AllRide, how it became something other than just this idea to help women get into mountain biking. It became a series of events where women know when they show up to a Ladies AllRide event, we're going to meet them where they're at. We have coaches that coach all levels, and we're going to welcome them into this sport in a way that's going to make them love it, because when I first got into it and was chasing around all these pros, I was kind of like, I don't know about this sport. I keep falling and getting hurt, and no one's telling me what to do. And I feel very unsupported and alone back here. Yeah. And I just don't want women to feel that way. I don't want women to get into this sport and have a bad experience and then write it off. It's a sport that relates to life in so many ways. It's hard, it's challenging, it's scary, it's intimidating. It sucks to fall, but falling helps you learn how not to fall. You learn to suffer through pain, emotional, physical, like I could go on, but the end of the day, our events are all about celebrating how a sport like mountain biking can show you what you're made of if you just pay attention, be patient, and give into the process that takes time and understanding, and that's life. We're not all going to get it right the first time. I got divorced. That was horrifying to go through, but my mountain bike and my community of women and the strength that bike gives me showed me I'm capable of dealing with life on my own. I don't need anybody but myself. No one else can ride my bike for me.
That's awesome. I always say that mountain biking builds so much resiliency in us, and it helps us with so much of our independence and so much of our courage. I got it a lot through whitewater kayaking and through mountain biking as a kid.
Kayaking's gnarly.
It was always one of those, like, both of them, like, you're that independent person and you have to make it through something. And sometimes you swim in a kayak and you end up like, floating in the river now. And in mountain biking, you fall and you're like, all right, dust myself off and get back up and go. And so, like, your resiliency is so much better, so much bigger. Oh man, I love it. Well, I'm super happy that you took the leap and you made the programs and got Ladies AllRide up and going.
Thank you. I'm super proud of it too. It's a really awesome thing we have going, and I have such a great team and community of women behind me. And that's really what makes it all worth it, to see all these women come together to ride bikes, but also the women who we work with. We just have this policy, like, no shit talking, no bullshit. Like, we're here to love each other and support each other and communicate like adults and lift each other up. And that's what we promote at our camps. You know, even if you're in a group that maybe someone's getting something a little faster than you, like, we take a lot of time putting people into the right groups, but we also encourage people to really just observe and watch what people are struggling with and what they're, you know, what they're doing really well, and just all of it. It's all a learning process. And when you're nervous about performing in front of people, but they're all there just cheering you on and not judging you and making you feel like you can do it, we see that if she can do it, I can do it attitude. And it just starts multiplying. We have women come into our camp so scared, and we get that. A lot of people come alone and we address it. We're like, who came alone? Well, you're here to make new friends. And just seeing everybody support each other and lift each other up who don't know each other and have maybe nothing in common outside of mountain biking and completely different walks of life is the most magical thing I've ever experienced in my life.
It's so true. I see it in this Facebook group all the time. Somebody posts up something that, like, had a bad day, like, anybody else talk about this? Anybody else have a bad day? Like, dude, it's like 30 comments in like 2 hours of like support and love and friendship. And these ladies also don't know each other. And that makes me so happy for all you guys that are watching along and that are here hanging out in the group.
Yeah.
Happy.
So, well, and you for starting this.
Oh man, it's amazing how it's blossomed. So there's a couple ladies that have sent out their love to you. So they definitely understand the mental place that you came through. Self-criticism is so common. Said this interview is so supportive and so inspirational. Carol said that. Time is things I must earn. And Linda said that, and she said she super relates to how mountain biking has saved her and her mental capacity. And Eden said that, you're both so inspirational. So many wonderful people in here. So now let's get into a little bit more of skills. So I wanted to ask you, Lindsey, what's one of the skills that either you're working on or that you love to teach? And how is your thought process as you go through it? And what are you thinking about?
Okay, well, those are two different things, what I'm working on and what I love to teach, because what I'm working on, I don't love to teach. I'm not great at it. So I'll start with what I'm working on. I'm always working on my cornering, because cornering is one of the hardest things to master. I love technical climbing. I feel like I understand that really well. I love going fast downhill. But corners, man, going at a corner fast when you don't know if it's going to hold you, if it's loose, if it's, you know, steep downhill. I can take corners slowly perfectly. I teach them all the time, so I have great technique going really slow. But when I'm going faster at trail speed, I still struggle with the trust of letting go. So, and really just leaning my bike into the corner. So without getting into too many details about cornering, one of the things I've been working on is, we call it the 2-1-none system, where I enter into the corner with both my brakes slowly applied to slow me down. Then when I get to the middle of the corner, I release my front brake. And then as I exit the corner, I release my rear brake. And it's kind of a fun game you can play, because it kind of takes all the overthinking out of it, and also the self-criticism of, oh, get off your brakes, get off your brakes. And it becomes a game. And that's kind of what we do at Ladies AllRide. We try to help you understand the mechanics of it and all the details that go into a skill. But then we also try to make it fun so you don't overthink all these things that you just learned. You know, so cornering, if you start doing the 2-1 none system, you start understanding what speed you're comfortable getting off the brakes and really leaning the bike into the corner better. And so I've been seeing how quickly I can do 2-1 none even before I get to the apex, so that I'm off my brakes through every corner.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. But one of my favorite skills to teach is when ladies learn to pop a wheelie. They think it's so hard and it looks so cool. And it literally is one of the most efficient ways to climb up technical terrain, when you know how to pop that wheel up with a pedal stroke, you know, and everyone sees it as such an unattainable skill that, oh, I hear a lot of like, oh, my boyfriend or my girlfriend or, you know, whoever was trying to teach me for 5 years and I could never get it. And then you all taught us in 30 seconds. And what I love about it is it's just technique and opposing forces, you know, learning to get that pedal stroke up to the power position, then slightly pull back on your bars as you punch it forward, and the wheel just flies up at you. And to see women get that thinking they can't get it is such an awesome feeling. I mean, we live for those moments when women accomplish things they didn't think they were capable of accomplishing. It's awesome.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple of the girls that went through my Core Crushers team, the last one that I did, they went to your clinic.
Oh,
and
awesome.
they applied a lot of like their strengths that they gained through working with me into the clinics. And one of the girls was one of the that you taught how to do a wheelie.
Awesome.
And she was like, I felt my core. I felt it used. It was great. And I loved it. That was like in the program I asked about wins and what you did that weekend or what happened that week. And that was one of their big wins.
Awesome.
And I loved it.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's another thing that's so great about mountain biking. I say I lost my fitness and I really did struggle to get it back, lifting weights. And, you know, I do have to do PT for my knee, but mountain biking is truly all overall body workout. It's unbelievable. You got to hold yourself up with your core, standing on your feet, letting those arms and hands be flexible and maneuverable. You know, what's one thing that people are usually shocked at our clinics is how sore their upper body is the second day, because we're teaching you your legs are there to hold you up and to pedal, but your arms are doing all the work.
Oh yeah, I was out
and your scaps and your core, and it's all got to work together to keep you strong over the bike. And I was just telling you, I crashed over my bars a couple days ago and put my handlebars into my rib cage, and I felt my ribs flex in and thought, okay, I think the core work just saved me from breaking a rib. This is good. It's important.
Very important for it.
Yeah, laughing.
Oh man, yeah. I was sore, so I went out. I've been trying to work on my manuals. It's a personal goal of mine that I want to get. And so this past, I think it was Friday or Saturday, I was working on them, and the next day I was like, I'm so sore.
Pulling back. Which part of me am I using right now?
My lats and my shoulder blade muscles are so sore.
Yeah. I have rotator cuffs that are rolled forward from so much teaching and not really thinking about pulling up with my shoulder blades. And my PT is, as I'm sure you know, is like, you got to engage your scapulas before you do anything, or you're going to rip these little baby muscles. I'm like, yep, I think I did that.
Yeah, that's a huge part in both of my programs, my Climb Crushers and my Core Crushers programs that I do.
It's so important what you're doing. It's awesome.
It's those little muscles. There's one girl who's a good friend of mine. She does a lot of powerlifting, and I was talking to her about just how she does her training, her programs. And I know this is off topic a little bit, but she's like, these accessory muscle training days are key. And I didn't know that they were called accessory muscle training days per se, but they are in the powerlifting world, because you're not just lifting your heavy weight. you're working all the other muscles that are around. And I'm like, oh, that's what I teach all day long.
You're teaching people to get away from just doing the big muscle groups and do the balance stuff. And it's funny. It's like a new thing for weightlifters. Like, oh, there's other muscles.
There's other things. But that lady, I'm going to post a video of her next week. She just hit a 200-pound bench press, which is phenomenal.
Wow. That's awesome.
So great. So I love what you taught about the cornering, or what you're thinking about when you're going through it. 2, 1, none, and I'm definitely going to be using them with trail.
It's a
because cornering is one of those things, as you said, trail speed, going through it. I can go through them slow, but going through them and trusting my tires and my bike is also where I've had one of my bigger crashes. And so getting past that mental part.
It is. It's so much of it is mental. But I think that's the beauty of taking a skills clinic is we teach you what to think about. Like as women, we tend to overthink things and also enter into things with an emotional state of mind. Like I see that rock garden and I am suddenly imagining what my face is going to look like if I crash in that rock garden. I'm like, no, don't think that. Don't think that. Now you're playing that game of like, now I'm not thinking about anything useful and I'm about to drop into a rock garden. So we really try to help women understand that step 1 is learning how. Step 2 is understanding what needs to happen to get your wheels through. And then how we think matters. Yeah. Right. So like you said, with the 2, 1, none, we have lots of mantras. Like even if you need to yell out loud, keep the wheels rolling, keep the wheels rolling. It keeps the brain focused on what you need to do and doesn't let those thoughts in that are like, oh, you're going to hurt yourself. Oh, don't hit that rock. You're like, nope, don't have time for you. I'm busy thinking about what my body needs to do. And there's a lot going on right now.
Yes. My live stream I just talked about last week was about positive mindset when you're approaching a hill or even approaching a downhill. Like as soon as you think something bad, either you're going to get more fatigued, tired for the uphill, or you're going to get stiff for the downhill. And I talk a lot about body efficiency and how to use your muscles better. And that's one of them is just that positive mindset. So huge. And it's so good to see that you're teaching us like one of the first steps, because it really is understanding that part and like applying it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's easy to say, think positive thoughts, but what if you don't know what to think, and we get that. And it's, it's women teaching women because we get it. We need a lot of details, but we also need to be taught how to think sometimes. And it's great because we'll give you mantras, that's why we say things like boobs over the bars. It's as simple as that. Shift your weight forward as you're climbing and find that sweet spot. If your boobs are up over the bars, you're probably getting there.
Oh, definitely.
It's fun, it's memorable, and it doesn't take your brain off into a wild world. It keeps you focused on the fun aspect of it all. It's also very fun.
Yeah. I mean, anytime when you yell boobs,
he doesn't laugh at it. I always follow it up with pecs, padding, whatever you have. I have padding. Don't be deceived.
I had one girl in the clinic. I was trying to teach her how to do a row, which is like pulling back a band. And you're not supposed to use your pecs when you do that exercise. You're supposed to use all the back of your shoulder blade muscles. And she pulled on it, and I go, how is that? She goes, just use all my boobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get the back ones in a second.
Totally. I love it. I'm like, I wear a padded bra because I have slid across the gravel before and it saved my nipple. I recommend padded bras for mountain biking ladies. It will save you. You'll just skip right over it.
Oh, that sounds so painful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for coming on live and taking time out of your day to share some of your knowledge, share a little bit of background and how and why you started Ladies AllRide. If people want to find a clinic or if people want to find more information about you, where should they go?
We're on Facebook, Ladies All Ride Mountain Bike Skills. We're on Instagram, Ladies All Ride, and ladiesallride.com, because ladies should all ride bikes and the world will be a better place. Because then we'll all be happy and confident with ourselves. Maybe limping a little, but.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
have a good night, everybody.
Bye.